So I'm going to start then.
Yep.
Okay, so I've told this story about 5 times in the last week because I think it's so cool.
Okay.
Okay, you don't play cards.
No, I'm not a fan.
I know, I don't know why.
Bugs me.
Really? Why does it bug you?
I'd rather have a good conversation. I find when I'm such an idiot. I find when I play cards with people, it's weird. I just find it weird. Like, I don't mind playing with my kid, my
Alright.
family a little bit, but I find cards is like not social.
Okay, cool. I like playing cards.
Yeah.
So I heard this thing last week.
I like joking around. Like, I just like horsing around or having like being really, really serious, talking about something very serious, or completely jackass when I'm out
I appreciate that.
playing cards.
But I feel like I can do that while playing cards.
It's not me.
It's not like serious card playing, which I
Mhm.
do also like, but
Yeah.
I'm not talking about that necessarily. Anyways,
Yeah.
so I heard this thing. Every time you shuffle a deck of cards, so if you go one shuffle, boom, it's almost 100% certain that you're creating a combination, like an order of cards that has never been created before,
Ever? Really?
which is interesting. So I'm going to explain why.
Kinda makes
to you.
sense.
So I have my prop today.
Okay.
So I didn't bring a deck of cards, but I drew 3 cards on a little whiteboard for people watching. So I got 3 cards.
So it's a 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, so I got ace, 2, and a 3 as an example. So it's just any 3 random cards. That's what this is. So I got the ace of hearts, the 2 of clubs, and the 3 of spades, which the suits aren't important. So how many ways can you arrange these 3 cards? So if I put in to make, how many different orders can I make of these 3 cards? The answer is 6.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm going
So-
to trust you on that.
Yeah, so it's 6. So the way that you figure that out, there's a math concept called a factorial, which is you multiply the total number you have by every number less than that. So it would be 3 times 2 times 1, which is 6.
3. So what?
So a factorial is
Yeah.
the number, whatever the total number
Yeah.
you have. So here we have 3.
Yeah.
And then it's multiplied by each number less than that. So 3
Okay.
times 2
Okay.
times
So
1
if it's
is 6.
9, then it'd be 9 times 8 times.
Right, all the way
okay.
down, right? So that's how you get the number of combinations. So you can make 6 combinations with 3 cards. Okay, so if you have 4 cards, now the number of combinations goes, it's 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So that's 24
Okay.
combinations. So it just went from 6 to 24
Yeah.
by adding 1 card.
Yeah.
If you add a 5th card, then it's 120.
That jumps
Combinations.
pretty quick.
So you can see kind of where I'm going. So it's
Mhm.
not linear growth,
Mhm.
it's like an exponential growth, right? So
Mhm.
anyways, so if you take 52 cards,
Yeah.
now, so you keep doing that, adding a card, and you multiply all the way down. So there's 52. So 52 times 51 times 50,
Yeah.
all the way down to 1.
Yeah.
The amount of combinations is 8 times 10 to the 67,
Well,
which is
I already want
Okay.
to go hang myself.
so. Do you know what an
8
exponents?
No.
So an
Well,
exponent,
yeah, 10.
10 times 10 times 10 times 10. So the exponent represents the exponent.
Smoke coming out.
You got it. No, you got it. You got it. Wait.
What?
You got it.
Yeah.
So the exponent just means how many times you multiply the number by itself. So if it's like 10 to the 5, it's 10 times 10 5 times. So 10 times 10 times 10 times 10 times
Okay.
10, right? So 67.
Simple. Yeah.
So 10 to the 67 is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, 67 times.
Right.
So 8 times that number is the number of combinations you can make with
What is the
52
number?
cards. That's what it is. I can't.
No. But what is the number? Like, if you did a deck of cards, what does the number end up being?
That's the number.
What?
8 times 10 to the. So if you take.
Oh.
You have to expand it out. So it would be 8 with 67 zeros on it.
Oh, so that's like more than a lot.
Yeah, a lot, right? So, okay, now we're going to get to like the interesting part about it. So, I like talking about space and like big stuff, big numbers, and like
Yeah.
you can't grasp how big some of this stuff is. So if you shuffled the deck of cards once per second since the beginning of time,
Come on.
which they think was 14 billion years ago.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
the numbers are crazy.
So and you can run this math. So there's 86,400 seconds in a day.
Yeah.
Times 365 days in a year,
Yeah.
times 14 billion years.
Yeah.
The number you get ends up being to the exponent 17.
Right.
But the exponent we need is 67. So you're off by a factor of 10
Huge,
times
it's
10,
still
50
huge.
times. Yeah. And that's if you did it every second since the beginning of time.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
And like the probability of that happening, like someone shuffling the deck,
Yeah, it's not
It's not
happening
happening.
once per second for
well,
14
no,
billion
like,
years. But right?
not even fluke by fluke. It's
Yeah,
never happened.
Never. Right. So it's almost 100% certain that every time you shuffle once, you make a combination that has never been created before.
Come on.
So isn't that interesting? So you can't.
It's mind blowing.
I know, but
it seems like it can't be possible.
I know.
But
And that's why it's so interesting when we talk about, because sometimes we'll get into a conversation about space and how big things are, how far things are,
blows my mind.
time. Like when you talk about big concepts like that, it's so hard to grasp, like how big these numbers are and how far away things are. Like
or
when
just
you're
what
talking
time is.
about time, it's like so hard to grasp.
I love talking about it.
Yeah, it's
because I'm dumb. Like in that area of life, I'm just like it makes no sense, but it makes a little bit of sense.
Yeah, I don't think you're dumb. I just think you're not.
No, I'm not dumb.
You're not educated in those fields,
No,
so it's hard to understand.
To me.
Yeah,
mind blowing to me.
Well, it's like the time thing. As you approach the speed of light, so for the speed of light is 3 times 10 to the 8.
Yeah.
If you start to approach that speed, meters per second. So think about that. 3 times 10 to the 8 meters per second.
Yeah.
Like you're traveling that much distance in 1 second.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like when we start to
light.
Yeah, when we start to approach that speed, which nobody can do,
Right.
but in theory, then time actually goes slower when you're moving that fast.
See, that's mind warping.
I know. It's like
but
so hard
it's
to get.
actually math that actually is correct.
Oh, that's the only way that they can figure it out is they have the equations that prove it. So they'll take, okay, here's an equation, and we'll take things that we know, like speeds that we've worked with in real life, so that we can verify that this equation works.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, okay, in this situation, the equation works. In this situation, the equation works. And they'll prove that the equation works across any situation.
Yeah.
And then they'll plug in numbers that we can't fathom yet. So it's like a speed like that. And then that's how they verify that is actually what would happen. Like the behavior of time actually changes as you start to move up to those speeds.
It's incredible.
It's like it's unbelievable, man.
Yeah. It blows my mind every time we talk about this. It's just like I could get caught up in this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And just be in amazement, and then it makes me, and probably like a lot of people, just say, okay, we're absolutely, there is no point of me being concerned with anything.
Yeah, right.
Because the time that we have here is it's nothing.
Yeah, it feels irrelevant when you think about the grand scheme. But that's why for me, I'm interested in those things. So when a concept like that comes up, I actually want to try to understand it.
Yeah,
Other people couldn't care. They don't want to hear about it. Like it's too much. Like they don't like listening to it.
Yeah. Well, it takes patience to listen to it and try to get your head around it, right?
Yeah. I remember being in like some of my classes, learning about some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Or like things that are really, really big is cool, and then things that are really, really small is really cool too, right? Yeah. So when you're talking about like particle sizes of things and like little tiny, tiny pieces of stuff, you can't even comprehend how small this stuff is.
Is there an actual something that is the smallest thing?
The smallest thing that I'm aware of I'm not in the
like
field
electron,
right now.
Is that what it is?
No, it's small. It's called a quark.
Yeah, I heard that. It's Q-U-A-R-K.
Yeah, quark. Yeah. It's supposed to be smaller than an electron.
So what does it do?
I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
Okay, I do.
Yeah, mind-boggling. Or like particles can behave like a wave or a particle.
Yeah.
Like, what does that even mean? Like, it's so hard to understand what these concepts mean.
To a certain degree, you understand it.
To a certain degree, like a very like just above not understanding.
Like it's you probably understand it to like this might be the dumbest thing, but I just thought of it. It's like you know that if you get a haircut, it's going to grow back. Your hair is going to grow.
Yeah.
But you don't know necessarily, and you might know why a little bit, but it's like you don't understand the deep.
Right, I don't understand
parts of that.
Yeah, I don't understand it deep. And the other thing that I think too is, and I don't know the math well enough, so I don't have an informed opinion necessarily. But if a concept is too complicated to explain, then to me I think it's an incomplete. It's not.
Oh yeah.
It's not. That's what I just believe that. Like somebody could come in and explain it to me, and I would change my mind. But if you can't simply explain the way something is working, then I feel like your explanation is incomplete.
Okay.
That's what I think. So when I think anything to do, and it goes to anything, it's not just like math, physics concepts. Yeah. If we talk about biology, if we talk about nutrition, if you talk about anything health related.
Yeah.
And it's like, and maybe kind of bringing hockey into this a little bit, even talking about hockey concepts. If somebody can't explain to you simply why something happens or why you need to do something, then I think you're either bullshitting or it's incomplete research or you're not sure yet or you still need to do more work on it or whatever. Right. I will never take like something that is that confusing to be law. No. There just has to be more there.
Yeah,
we have to learn more about it. That's what I think anyways. Because it's something like that. I remember sitting in class when I was being taught this. I'm like, how does that make it? It's impossible. Like that makes no sense. Right. Well, maybe it does. I don't know. Right. But it seems to be like incomplete at the very least to me. At least, I mean, anyways.
Yeah, there's a basic understanding of it, like you said.
Yeah.
Anyways, I can't describe it.
They're starting to get like a piece of something.
Yeah.
But then it's like they say we understand like 4% of the known universe. It's like, well, that's not very promising.
No.
It's like, so how do I trust anything you say about anything?
Yeah.
It's like, right?
Yeah.
There's so much we don't know yet.
Yeah. Well, I would, not that I know anything, but I would say that's probably high.
Well, and
Because
people,
the more you know, the less you know.
yeah, and people think that science is like law, and it's like science is always changing, man. Like you take something as scientific fact or whatever, people are very, especially now with like all the COVID stuff, like we need to do this. You have to like what the science says and like whatever. It's incomplete, man. It's incomplete.
Well, my wife showed something the other day. She was reading. Do you remember when COVID first came out? They were saying that the heat, if there's heat, it spreads a lot quicker. Like So she just read something that scientists say that people should avoid hockey because it's the cold. It's like, well, that's the opposite.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's the opposite, man. So there's that theory.
Well, and I mean, even with the COVID thing, they were talking at the start. They were always saying, they need to put people on ventilators,
right?
And that was like the big thing in the news. Everyone need ventilate, whatever. And then it turns out that was actually bad for patients. Yeah, that to put them on ventilators, so they don't do that anymore.
Right.
Right. Unless.
So what do they do?
I don't know. I'm not there, but I just know that now you never hear nothing about any ventilators.
Yeah, I don't care.
And then they had like this huge surplus of but at the start, the science was like, you need to put them on a ventilator. That's what they thought they needed to be doing based on their scientific knowledge. Because it was
lungs and stuff, right?
Yeah, right. Based on their knowledge. But I mean, anyways, the point is, I'm not a doctor. I could be wrong about everything I just said. But anyways, the thing I was talking about, Heisenberg's uncertainty principle.
Nice.
Is another one. Yeah,
that's amazing.
That's kind of talking about what we were talking about. So, anyways, yeah, super interesting. So that's I want to start with that because I thought it was really fascinating. I saw a little video somebody make that mention that the first time the 52 cards.
I love it.
Yeah, it's cool, eh?
I love it. Yeah.
So there we go.
Thinking about it.
I know. What else you got? You got anything on the go here before you get rolling or no?
I don't really have anything.
No? Okay, let's get into it then. What do we got for today?
We discussed what we want to talk about this week, and we were going to make it more technical, even though it's not really technical, but it's very, very helpful for coaches and players. And you know what, even for parents, if you get involved in any of your skill development. So skill development today is going to be discussing passing and shooting. And the reason I put them together is because they're basically the same. If you can be a good passer with good... I
like that. Yeah. They're basically the same. That's right.
Well, no, it's the same thing.
The mechanics are the same, yeah.
Yeah, the mechanics are the same. Yeah. So if you have a good, crisp, accurate passes, that transfers basically identically to shooting. And so anyways, that's what I want to talk about. And to me, I firmly believe that passing is maybe the most untapped skill for most players.
Yeah.
And now, so like I was even doing in my clinic last night, I spent a lot of time on a lot of skill work, a lot of like stick handling first, and then we did a lot of passing. So it's funny that even the attitude towards passing, it's like, oh, we're going to do some passing drills. And I actually have to explain, like, passing's important, right? And these guys were 14-year-olds and some pretty good players. Well, actually, all good players. And it was ugly. It was ugly. But it was ugly, but it's predictable. Because, number one, the give a shit meter on passing drills, it should be a lot higher. But the give a shit meter is a little bit lower because it's like, it's in the area, or I'm just doing the drill. And it doesn't seem like it's a real important skill necessarily. But it transfers into your shooting. So, the shooting principles is the same thing. It's like, guys, you got to tighten this all up. The same mistakes are made all the time. Now, having said all that, if you look at, if you watch, so from here on in, like players and parents and coaches that watch this, if you start looking at a hockey game, NHL, OHL, college, whatever, and just start looking at, let's just say it's a power player, you're on a line rush and guy makes a pass. I saw one in the NHL when I got home last night. I just laughed. And you see a guy for a one time, or like in a one-time position, and that pass is made, it should be in his back foot roughly, so he can just crack it. There's no thinking. How many times you see that puck over here, way outside their body, where it takes a second or half a second at least to get that puck off, to readjust, to do it. So that's what I'm talking about. Is like, so there's two sides to that, and I'll get to that in a minute. So what to be a good passer, obviously you want to make there's two people involved in the pass, the one making it, the one receiving it. The one making it needs to make a good pass. Why does he need to make a good pass? To help his teammate become successful, right? It takes two people to create a good situation. If like that'd be optimal. And I forget what I was going to say about the rest of that. But so that's the premise of this.
Yeah. So I want to, because we've talked about this a little bit before, how passing isn't really talked about in the same way as an individual skill as like shooting, skating, stick handling, right? And even when like we have on our website, we have a whole bunch of videos like for individual skill stuff, and those are our 3 things, right? Yeah. Passing drills come in later when it's like in a more team environment or where you have other guys you can work with. It's not necessarily an individual thing, so it doesn't get the same level of attention as other skills. But what's amazing to me, so on the weekend I got to go see the same guys you were skating. I went to skating with. I went to see their game on the Sunday. And one of the biggest things that I noticed, and then even in the junior camp that was here, is the decision making and the quickness with which they get rid of the puck or receive, like those types of skills. That is where the biggest gaps are between, lower level hockey and higher level hockey. And because the difference is like everyone gets faster, everyone gets faster. They're faster skaters, but why is the game so much faster? It's not just because people skate faster.
No.
It's because the puck moves, man.
Yeah.
The puck moves quick. Guys aren't dusting it off. They're getting it. They're moving it on the tape. And that's the difference between getting opportunities or missing opportunities a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Right? If you can put one on the tape, that's the more precise you can be with the pass, the more opportunities you're going to get. And it's the same with shooting, right? And I'm sure you'll get into both of those.
Yeah.
But the more precise you're going to get with your shot, the more likely you are to have a good outcome, which is scoring or whatever. But that's just more obvious. Passing is less obvious than the shooting situation, right?
So you look at a game, and you and this is where, and I would say that a lot of coaches don't even really hone in on this. Like I'm talking high level coaches, but you can see why. Okay, so why does Aaron Ekblad have such success on a power play, or in general? Well, because his passes are where they're supposed to be. But if they're off by a foot, and I'm talking like a 1T or a guy in a shooting position, if they're off by a little bit, no one really notices. Right. So, and this is the issue. Like, and this is why I'm really adamant on good passing. Is like, you have to recognize in a game. If I'm a left-handed shot, I won't make it complicated. I have to recognize if I'm moving the puck. Like I don't know who's on the ice with me, so I have to look at my. You got to know what your partner is like. Let's say for a D. So if a guy's on his one-time side and you put it too far ahead, now he's got to fumble it, right? Or if it whatever. So, or if it's too much behind him, then he's got to play with it. So you have to recognize. So the guys that can make that, like recognize what hand guys are, and put the puck in the right place. So a lot of times you'll see a guy like, let's say on a power play on the umbrella, guy up top will make that pass down to the top of the umbrella, right?
Yep.
On the flank. And it's a one time. A lot of times you'll see the guy have to reach. Well, you just blew that.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is that a lot of players will say, "Well, I got it there," but you didn't really get it there.
Yeah.
You got it there.
It wasn't effective.
Now you gave a guy a problem in a sense.
Well, and at the very least, even if it's something he can handle, if he couldn't get a good crack at it, you just removed an opportunity because it wasn't on the mark. And this is the difference between guys that are like a very high level skill. It's like we talked about. I think it was last week where we were talking about how good NHLers are.
Yeah.
Like you can tell how good their skills are, but it's that kind of shit that nobody notices.
Those are the separators.
Right? Yeah, that's the separator.
So that could be the difference between maybe getting a difference of maybe 10 points a year. Maybe more, maybe less. I don't know, but it's a difference of something. Right? So if you've got, especially if you're playing with a good shooter, let's say, and you feed him a pass, and it's in the right spot, you just increase his chances, probably not by a little bit, a lot.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And I think on the receiving end of that, not to jump the gun on you at all.
No, it's okay.
But
good.
You also you were talking about Cass last week. how he can catch a pass anywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and how many opportunities you'll get for yourself if you're able to handle bad passes. Because how many bad passes you get in a game, right? There's passes that explode off your feet, just like in that little handcuff position where you can't quite get there with a flat blade. And if you can find a way to handle those, or use what's around you, like let it go off the wall to catch it, or deflect it a little bit, or that soft tap that you talk about where you just let it hit your blade to kill it, and then it's right in front of you.
Yeah.
Like if you are able to do those little things, then even on the receiving end, those are opportunities that you'll get, right? And then that ends up being, like you said, the difference between X number of opportunities or points or whatever.
Absolutely. Or I'll watch like the junior game, like on Charlie's team, and I'll see a D. And because I'm saying this because my son's a right winger, and I really watch. I'm a dad now.
Mm-hmm.
I want him to do well, right? So I'll see him busting up the seam, and a D will send a puck, and it's behind him. It's like, all right.
Yep.
That happens to every forward.
Yeah,
I'm looking at
could have caught it in stride.
There's a nice clean pass you can make, but it was rushed, or you just got it there. But it's like the guy's going up with speed, and now he's got to stop and reach back and get it, or it doesn't get to him at all. And it's like a pretty simple pass. And to some degree, depending on how you're coaching, like the important thing is it's out, and we'll deal with the neutral zone later or whatever.
Yeah.
But that maybe ruin an opportunity for a 2-on-1, 2-on-2, getting it deep. So you're fumbling around in the neutral zone, right?
Yeah.
Getting pressure. So.
Well, and then I was looking at sorry to keep going.
That's okay.
Then I'm watching they played last night.
Yeah.
And I'm watching their power play, and they're top 5 of really skilled players. So they got Cheka, Prafaka, Pastajov, what's his face? Zilkin, and then I don't even know who's the 5th guy. It kind of changes or no?
Yeah, it changes around.
Anyways, the net front guy, whatever. But those 4, they zip the puck around so nice, man. Yeah. Always on even last night, Zilkin scored a one-timer.
Yeah. And the pass was everything.
Yeah, Pastajov picked it off at the top, right? Then walks in, gives it a no look.
Yeah.
And puts it right in the wheelhouse. So, and with some zip too. It had a little bit of zip getting there.
Yep.
But it was right in his wheelhouse. So Zilkin just cracked
Didn't have to think.
Perfect. Didn't have to think.
And that's why Pastajov, who's not a real fast skater, but he's very deceptive, very smart, and he signed an NHL contract.
Yeah, leading the league in points right now.
Leading the league in points. Yeah. That's why.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
that's
it's very, very important. It's very, very important, and I think that so when you go into practices and stuff, that's your time to have like a goal or a purpose for that practice is making sure your passes are crisp in the right spot and the right amount of weight on the passes and stuff like that. It's really important because if you can get that, that's good. So that's so you kind of led into what I was going to talk about a little bit, and that's good.
Cool.
Here's the questions, right? So coaches and players both kind of think of this like. The thing is, the goal is to have good crisp passes in a practice, right? So coaches and players, you should harp on that. Like if I'm making a DD pass, I want to be right. You do neutral zone regroups and all that stuff. It should be good. 2-on-1s, 2-on-2s. It should be good passing is the goal. Putting it in the right place, 100%. The question I have is, in a game, watch a game. How many times are there clean, crisp passes that are perfect? How many times? The ratio is not very good, right? So that's the question, right? So
talking like more minor hockey or junior hockey.
I'm talking anybody.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody. So the goal is to do good, quick passing, and the technique to it. If a coach can explain it, and I'll get into it a little bit after. But if a coach can explain how and where to keep your hands and how to get it off quick and not to have too much weight on it, but just make them crisp. But harp on the accuracy. 100%. 100%. That's the goal. But how many times in a game? So we're going to translate this into shooting too. How many times in a game do we get? I don't care what situation you're in, whether you're down low, 1-times power plays, 2-on-1s, whatever. How many times do you actually shoot the puck the way you practice? Like perfect, right?
Yeah.
So my point here is when we do drills, again, I'm going to emphasize this again. When we do things, we want to do them correctly, right? But we have to also understand that when we practice perfection, i.e., shooting, we're typically in a like if you practice at home, you're in the perfect position,
Ideal
working
conditions.
on ideal conditions, working on a specific shot, which is good. But what do we do? Like, how many times in a game are you getting a pass where it's like perfect the way you've always practiced?
Zero.
Infrequent,
Infrequent.
right?
Yeah.
Well, you can work on dot to dot one tees. You could do it, and you got it really well. But that's going to happen perfectly, very, very seldom.
Mm-hmm.
So what we have to do is in our practice, I call it kind of practicing imperfectly, is as much as we want to do things right, yes, because it's important. Like,
that lays your foundation.
Yeah. But what you need to do to have good passing and shooting is to practice everything bad, like bad situations. So I'm not saying have a sloppy practice, but but you practice imperfectly on purpose.
Yeah.
So,
well, you say always make it like a game, right? You want to make it so, and when you're talking about bad situations, it's just want it to be like game real, where it's not like it's a perfect tic-tac-toe, have your shot. It's like, no, you have pressure, you have a guy on you, you got it on your backhand, all these different situations that are more likely to happen in a game.
Yeah.
Yes, you want to be good in the ideal case to get your foundation down, but then you need to be able to use that in a game situation, right?
Yes.
And we've talked about that before too, where you go out there and do all these fancy cone drills and all this stuff, and you can stick handle really well, but then they put you in a game and you don't know how to use any of this stuff, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like figure out how you can, with under pressure, in bad situations, in compromising positions, with no time, in limited space, like how can you make this stuff kind of work? I think that's kind of what you're getting at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting, how often do you shoot? If you practice a shot inside foot, right? Bang, 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 just like you would a pass. Okay, that's good. It's really good. But how many times do you get that in a game? Do you ever get it on too far ahead, too far behind in your skates?
Yeah.
With someone on your hip pocket, right? Something right in your skates where you have to snap it, way outside where you can get it. And you have to practice these things, right? And it's the same with passing. So what I would do is, what you want to do, like the good things you want to work on passing is you want them to be short, crisp, and accurate passes. So what I mean by actually, for coaches, one of the craziest things I see, and it's like, let's just say you watch a practice, a Pee-wee, a U14, whatever, and the first couple drills that coaches do a lot of the times when they do passes or a flow drill is they'll do like a horseshoe where it's a long skate and a really long pass, and that's how you start your passing. Well, okay, let's go to a different sport. In basketball, if you're a 3-point shooter like Stephen Curry, is that his name?
Yep.
Do you think he starts at the 3-point line?
I'd say no.
No, he starts real close. He starts just sinking them close, and then he starts backing up. That's what everyone does.
Yep.
Why? You have success, you get a feel for it, and you just start getting your range, right?
Yeah.
And then as you back up, they keep going in. If you start at the 3-point line, you haven't warmed up or anything, and then you don't got your bearings. You're already setting a bad pattern. So have success first. But anyways, if you start with a long horseshoe or one of those kind of drills, then what happens inevitably is, I've watched it several times, you'll see a practice and you go, Jesus, change the drill, man. Like, guys, this doesn't make sense. Especially the younger you go, the less you want to do that. So you could do, like, I'm not a big fan. Well, I am for technique, but doing stationary in close passing to get the touches real good. But I like to do like really short area, like 10-foot pass drills.
Like those, like the neutral zone options type thing, right?
Yeah.
Like the dots where they pass and touch and pass and touch and then curl
100%.
and touch, like that kind of stuff.
Because now you're moving and you're opening up properly. It's teachable and there's success.
Mm-hmm.
If you miss on those, it doesn't slow a whole drill down either.
Yeah.
But it's good. So you start off small and then you grow the passing drills into something better. But then in reality, most times in a game, you're not looking for 50, 60-foot passes. You're looking for 5 to 15-foot passes, 20-foot passes, because that's what wins games and that's how you make plays.
Yeah.
So that, I would say, stick to that kind of stuff. And then, then I was going to say, recognize once you get decent at passing, recognize your teammates' positions, forehand, if they're on the forehand, if they have to two-touch a shot or make a play like that off the backhand. And then as you're passing, another thing to look at is not to overhandle the puck.
Mm.
So this is another big thing. You'll see that, especially higher up you go, you realize how detrimental it is when you get a puck in a shooting area or even passing area. It doesn't matter if you get a pass, you see a play. You shouldn't have to go like stick handle 3 times to make the move. It should be forehand and head up and then make a play. So those are things from a coaching perspective that you can kind of look at. So short area passing, make them crisp, make them accurate. The technique of it, keeping the hands in front of you for the most part, and that's that.
Yeah. So I don't know if I don't want to.
No, go ahead.
I don't know where you're going, but if maybe as a player now, so if somebody, little kid listening or dad's listening to help his kid with passing, whatever, even shooting. So what are like some ways to think about it if you're the player now? So like if you're same kind of stuff you're talking about, but like if I'm like, okay, I need to get better at my passing.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Like what are my 3 steps here to start to, in practice, in the game, whatever, make sure I'm on the tape and all that kind of stuff.
Okay, so first of all, at home, if you do anything at home, that's up to you.
Yeah.
So I will use my clock.
Okay, cool.
Okay, and I don't know if I'll do it justice here. So what happens is, like in the last night, the biggest thing that I find with players is that they don't, I don't want to say they don't listen. That's not the thing, is they don't take the time to really, really understand that. Then this makes all the difference. So if you look at the clock, that's totally here. Okay.
That's good.
If you look at, now I got to bend over.
I need you in the mic.
What's that? Yeah, sorry. No, I'm a mess here. If your feet are pointing this way, okay, to 12 o'clock, this is the net, or your target. Is that on the 12?
Yeah.
Okay. Anytime you start moving the puck past the around the 9, that'll be your heels. Okay, so if I'm a left-hand shot, my stick's over here, right? My top hand will be around my hips. So so number one, when you do that, you're showing shot, you're showing pass.
So you're saying, just for people listening, so you have your feet towards the net.
Yes.
This is the net. If your stick is coming behind your hip, so if
the puck goes to 9, or if you're righty, if the puck goes to 3, or behind that, which most people do.
So so you're catching the puck kind of behind you a little bit, is what you're saying.
Or you're moving it behind you.
Okay. Right. Okay. Yep.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Now you're showing what you're doing.
Yep.
That's number 1. Number 2 is, now I'm going to put my clock down. Number 2 is, and this is passing or shooting. Number 2 is, you are now in an unbalanced position. So you're not strong from here, right?
When the puck's behind you.
Yeah, even
or
at your
off
heel.
your hip. Yeah.
Off your hip. Right, your body's off a little bit. So now you don't have power and you don't have the proper balance.
Yep.
Now, do you have to work that once in a while? Yeah. But now there's the percentages of your passes or shot being powerful and accurate become very, very less. A lot less.
And that's because you're off balance and you're not going to generate
there's
any
no power here.
Yeah.
Right? And then and maybe more importantly, it takes time to get there rather than keeping it.
Right.
I'll show you in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And you're telegraphing, like you're showing it. So you're telegraphing.
Right.
So now you're readable.
Right.
Right. So now if I'm defending on you and I see that puck go there, now I take a stick lane. Like it happens quick, but it's you can see it.
You have no other option, so they know that they can pounce on you now.
Right.
Right.
So what you want to learn how to do is, if this is your feet, is you want to keep your this clock's going to be a freaking mess by the end.
Do you want my whiteboard?
No, that's fine.
You sure?
Yeah, I need a clock. So what you need is your stick to be in between 10 and 11, because 10 for a lefty is going to be near the front of their foot. So now your positioning will be in the stick handling too. Now it's just one little movement, but see where my hands are. They're in front of me. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So someone thinks that they're shooting. So the biggest thing I see in shooting and passing, so when someone goes to make a pass, they over stick handle, meaning they bring it too far back.
Mm-hmm.
When in reality, when you stick handle on the backhand, you should actually leave it because you're moving forward. and then you'll skate into the 10.
Right.
Rather than pulling it back into the 9 or maybe even 8.
Mm-hmm.
9 or 8. So
Right.
that right? Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Okay. So that's something that if you can picture that for shooting and passing.
Okay.
So go ahead.
So I was just gonna summarize what you said just to make sure. So you're saying first tip number 1 for like good pass, good shot.
Yeah.
If you take the puck and a lot of coaches still teach this too, right? If you're gonna do a wrist shot, let's say, right, you gotta load it back so you can have that long sweep to get into your shot. Yeah. So you're saying you bring that puck back and it's off your back heel, so you have the puck on your forehand and it's outside your back heel behind you. Yeah. Now you're off balance and you're losing power. Yes. So instead of that, you want the puck to be right almost by your front foot so that both your hands stay in front of your body. Yeah. And now this is where you're going to be able to generate power and have like more accuracy, and you have that deception piece where you have another option. You don't necessarily have to pass one direction or shoot one way or whatever. Right. And then the reason that makes sense too is if you think about the further the puck gets away from your body, you're talking about being off balance. Now your center of gravity is far away from the puck. You bring it into your body. Now your center of gravity is right on top of the puck.
Exactly.
And that's how you're going to be generating the power. Right.
The power comes for that push through.
You want to be on top of
that
it.
Downward pressure. So downward pressure. I'll do it for the camera. Yeah. Downward pressure. You have a hard time pushing into the ice there, but you have a lot easier time here. So now, this is getting off topic a little bit. If it is out, it doesn't mean you can't shoot. Right. You just have to make an adjustment. The adjustment is you have to pull in to get it back into that 10 on the clock. 10 on the clock with the hands in front of you. Or as you pull in, it's a weight shift with your legs, and then you're turning your hips. Right. So you're pulling and then you're turning your hips like on a classic wrist shot.
And then this goes to the point of which we'll talk. Maybe we'll
always
talk
has to come in here.
Yeah, you want to get that. You want to get that puck back inside, so you're on top of it when you're going to shoot. That's where you're going to get power from. So that goes to the being able to handle a pass that's bad. It's not, I got a bad pass, I can't do anything with it. It's like, no, you need to have the skill to be able to fix it. You get a pass in a bad spot, and it's not your fault.
That's right.
You want to still be able to adjust and make a good play from it, right?
Yes.
So those are the two pieces there. Okay, I think that all makes sense.
Yeah. So now so what you can do at home when you're practicing is just have that in your mind, or maybe put something on the wall, that clock. I just learned that little piece a couple weeks ago, like the analogy of using a clock.
Oh, really?
I really liked it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Where'd you find?
I don't know. I was some guy.
Okay, cool.
And I'm like, I really like that analogy. I'll give the guy credit. I don't like the guy, but I like that analogy. It was good.
Cool.
Keeps it simple, right? So if you could keep that analogy, and let's say you have a golf ball, which is really good, or if you have a passing device at home and you have something slippy where you can actually make good passes, get yourself set in an athletic position with your hands there, and just get used to having that puck. So just bang, bang,
from
bang,
right in front
bang.
of you. Boom,
yeah, just
boom.
over and over. Yep. And you'll get a good feel for that. So like I do that with like the older guys too, right? We just get the feel for it, and I just go around, more pressure on your like left hand shot. Make sure your weight comes on your left foot, so it's always coming there. So they just get in the habits of that. And when the thing is that once you get used to the reason I do that is because you learn your sweet spot. Your sweet spot meaning this is where the puck has to come off for accuracy, for speed, and all that kind of stuff. So if you do that, if you do a lot of repetitions like that, then that's going to just transfer into shooting and passing into a game, because everything else will feel awkward. And that's one of my sayings that I have when it comes to skill development. If it feels weird, it's wrong, period. Right? It's just wrong. Yeah. There's something that needs to be fixed. Yeah. So that's one that I would do. Okay, so then just finish before we go to the next thing. So finishing up, is there anything else you have as the player, if they want to work on passing? So that's the setup, basically. You just walk through the setup where you want it. Now, if I'm like going into a drill or I'm in practice or in the game or whatever, like what are things that I should be thinking about when I'm actually in the flow of the drill or whatever to make sure that I'm on? Yeah, well, it's those. I would go through that checklist, but I would say like most of your passes you should be facing, like if I'm passing to my right winger up the ice, I should be, or a partner in D, you should have your toes so you can make that decision of where your puck is, right? Like the 10-12 thing, the 12-10. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Then what about? I meant more other things like moving into your pass or having your feet moving or like eyes stuff. Yeah. Like, so when you know that you're going to be doing some passing okay. So to make a good pass. Yeah. That's more what I was getting at. I don't know. I assumed you were going to get into that. Passer? Yeah. Okay. So to be a good passer is like as you're working your pass, just understand like sometimes you gotta, is the weight of the pass appropriate? Is it too hard, too soft?
Oh,
Is
good
it right?
question.
You know what I mean? Is there too much spin, or is it too heavy? If it's too heavy, it's because you're pulling from back here. So you get the proper spin with the hands in front of you. Feet moving, like, of course, if you're on a power plane, you get
Yeah,
it here.
within
And you
reason.
can move
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, within reason. But most times, your feet have to be moving to keep you mobiles, or if your options are taken away, you can spin out or you can make a different decision. But one of the things that I would really, um, really start focusing on as any player is to start adding deception. Deception is not used very often by most players. So little things like in practice, especially, is learn how to go. Like if you're coming up the ice, is deception with eyes and head, right? Always looking. So like that's what I always say to people: keep your head up. Like a lot of people teach, keep your head up, or your head up, or your eyes up. But they don't teach them to keep them out, and they don't teach them
Scan
to
the ice.
scan
Yeah.
the ice.
Yeah.
So a lot of people have that tunnel vision, or they're whatever. So it doesn't you keep your head up for a couple of reasons, so you don't get hammered. That's one. But number two is you want to scan all your options. So as you're coming up the ice, is you want to have looks like this with your eyes or your head even, because what it does is now if you're defending me, then you're saying, okay, what's there, like real quickly you think that. So you're creating deception. So that's one. So now you can kind of you can actually give it a look here and then, because you've already seen it like a split
Right.
second ago. Number two is deception with your hands. Is learn and practice how before you make passes, just to get an elbow up or to open up the blade a little bit or to give it a quick
Yeah, little
snap.
jukes. Yeah.
Yeah, little jukes and stuff like that, because it creates a little bit of deception. Those little movements create a lot of space.
Yeah.
So speaking of Pastajov on Charlie's team, if you notice with him, he's coming in all the time. It's a stick fake all the time, head fake, but it's always the stick more often than not. So he'll come in to go shoot, and they're done slowly and calmly, but it's enough to get a guy to bite.
Yeah.
So it creates a lot of room for yourself.
In the speed of the game, that's why it's so effective, because everything's happening so fast that just your eyes looking somewhere else, the guy has to react to your vision, right? Because as a defender, I'm watching what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're a good defender, you're not going to be watching the puck, you're watching the guy, right? So if he's looking around, then you don't know where the option is that he's looking at, right?
Yeah.
So again, going to summarize. So after that setup, so you're talking about puck on the inside foot, hands in front.
Yeah.
So you can create good power and you're not off balance, all that stuff. Then you want to be, for the most part, unless you're on a power play or whatever, have your feet moving into your passes.
Yes.
And then appropriately judging.
Well, just to go on that. So when your feet are moving, like not only when you're making a pass, your feet are moving. What happens is you can escape. I already said that. But the other thing that happens is you're shortening the gap. So if your feet aren't moving,
making it a shorter pass.
It's a longer pass, just by default.
Yeah.
But number two, if your feet aren't moving, you have to be stronger up here rather than
you can use the momentum.
Skating into it. And
the puck's already moving. A lot
easier,
right?
Yeah.
So that's good. So you got the setup, you got the feet moving.
Yeah.
Then you're getting into, you mentioned judging how much heat am I putting on this pass, right? So if the guy's 3 feet away from you, don't be sending him a rocket.
Well, that's what it was like last night. I was with that group, and I'm like, guys, like, yes, we're supposed to have hard passes. Like, that's kind of.
Yeah.
When a guy's 4 feet away, it shouldn't be the hardest pass you could ever make, because that's not appropriate.
Right.
Like, then you're not setting someone else for success. So in your mind, when you're passing, it's you don't pass to get rid of the puck. You don't pass because you have a problem, and you don't want to make it someone else's. You pass to have success.
Yeah.
Because if you can make someone on your team have success, you've all succeeded, right?
Right.
And don't miss that point.
Yeah. So it's that bit of like starting to learn like some of the finesse of how to judge. Okay, is it appropriate to send him a sauce here?
Yeah.
Is it appropriate to keep it a little bit slower? Do I need to zip it there? Like, how much distance am I covering with this pass?
That's right.
And so starting to ask yourself those kinds of questions. So as the passer, I think that's a pretty good comprehensive summary of like what you should be trying to do as a passer, and a lot of that stuff ends up translating into your shooting as well.
Yeah. So I wanted to. So taking that a little farther with passing, it's really important that you also work as coaches and players in the positions where you get most of your passes, and that's in awkward positions, right? So just a couple things I wrote down there. Yeah, start working on indirect passes off the wall, right? So bank passes, so you understand boards, and for the passer too, learn how to pass off the walls and stuff like that. Learn the boards, and so that you can make different types of plays, and that's a little bit of deception. Um, the boards are your friend there, but also take passes that are in your feet. Like learn how to take passes. Like do drills purposely that go into the feet, that are too far ahead, that are on your backhand hard, right? So for example, if you catch a pass on your backhand and it's hard, right? So I was saying to this a group of guys a couple years ago, they were laughing. Kids took about a couple of kids, they were taking a lot of backhand passes on a certain drill, and the passes were coming at them hard, and they're all blowing up. They come off the stick and bounce off and stuff. So I brought them in and I said, like, here's the question you got to ask yourself, guys. If you've done this drill and you've had 3 passes on your backhand that have blown up, what's the question you need to ask? Right? The question needs to be, why is it blowing up? You don't recognize it? So I told them, I said, so if I made you a steak and potatoes last night for dinner, and you enjoyed it, and then I brought it to you again tonight, you say, what am I having here? Steak and potatoes. You had it yesterday. Don't you recognize it? Right? So you know what I mean? So but this is an issue. So you have to ask yourself why. So a lot of the times on a backhand, people try to go and they slow their feet down and they try to catch it, like, improperly, like a lot of the books tell you is to cradle it or whatever. And a real simple solution to catching a backhand pass, especially a hard one that will never slow you down, is just keep one hand on your top hand on. And you skate and it deadens the puck and then you can keep going full tilt. But practice that. And practice, maybe that doesn't work as well for you. It will. But practice that, right? Practice passes that are way too far ahead. Practice passes that are getting in your feet so that you learn how to kick it out. Or maybe you learn, okay, that one's the boards are here and this one's in my feet, and I've learned the angles of the boards, and now I could just let that one go and I'll just catch it off the other side. Right? And even for when you're going to do your shooting, put them in spots where you're not going to have success, so that you can get used to that. Because listen, that's what's going to happen in a game. Soft rims. And I was really proud. So you weren't at the game, you watched it. So Charlie got his first goal in the OHL the other day, and a lot of people are really excited about the goal, and I was. Trust me, I was. But that goal, there's a couple things to this. Charlie spent a lot of time shooting in every position, right? So if he gets a bad pass, he's got different options, right? So, but on his goal, it was a soft rim, like a medium rim, right? So it came around the boards, not hard, not soft.
Just leading up to his goal, they were back in their own D zone.
Yeah.
And then the soft rim came to him on his wall.
So it's not I love the fact that he got a goal, but what I loved about it was he took a soft rim off the wall and he made a great play to get it out of his zone. Okay, now that might not seem that sexy, but it's the most important part. So he made a correct play off the wall
in his D zone.
Got it out to one of his players. They had a rush on net. Then he drove and he came in, picked up. He's a righty, so he very, very quickly, as we've practiced several times, and I've got a whole bunch of drills that I've done this with, that when I show him again, this is where that came from. He had it on his back end, snap, put that puck in the perfect spot. So pulled, snap, beautiful goal. That week before, or 2 weeks before, he's been working a ton on taking rims. How many people take rims in practices? How many coaches practice rims? And there's different ways to pick up rims off the wall. So this was one of his options that he worked on. He recognized, he did a shoulder check, got that puck out. Now, if he didn't work on that, maybe he would have got lucky and got it, but I don't think so. He probably did a few hundred rims in more than that in the last couple of weeks. So that practicing taking it off the wall led him to success. It wasn't a perfect pass, not even close. It was just the D. Just here, I got to get rid of it here, and I'm in a bad spot. Put him in a spot where he had to make a really good play, and so That's what I'm talking about. Making sure that you do things from a bad position. Because in the game, when you practice, that's the thing. Like even skating, right? You do skating drills and stuff like that. That's when everything's perfect, right? Stick handling through cones, as you said earlier. You do that. Everything's perfect. The cones are lined up, and you can practice your fakes. There's a time and a place, and there's a purpose for it, but it's not reality, right? So you have to understand what you're doing. So, anyways, coaches, get drills, find drills, call me. I'll give you some on how to create drills that are very, very effective, that are they're not perfect. Putting your guys in bad situations.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. I don't want to wreck your flow, but I want to go on a little side tangent about this.
Yeah, go ahead.
So because you're talking about, like, especially when you're talking about picking up the puck in different positions, or like letting it go off the back wall, or why is it blowing up on my backhand and all that stuff. Like, it's the same thing we always talk about, man, like the asking questions, like being able to assess what's happening, and like using your brain to think about stuff. Yeah. It's so important that they're doing that. And I just had that same group you skated with last night. I had them in here last week, and I gave them shit a little bit at the end of the workout because they're asking me dumb questions just because they're not thinking. They're not taking a couple seconds to think about what's going on. So when we're doing the exercises, like, I will have just showed them an exercise, and they don't know how to do it. Right. It's like, you're not paying attention. Yeah. You're not actually. You're not actually watching what I just did, or asking me like how many reps to do on an exercise. You're not listening, man. Yeah. It's the same every time. Every exercise is the same. We're working on basic things. Like, you have to come in and use your brain, man. Yeah. And that's what, especially with hockey players, something that you don't get because you're not really thinking about using your brain when you're playing hockey. You're just thinking about going out and playing. Yeah. But the more you guys can actually use your brain to try to learn some things, the faster you get better. Yeah. Because you're not just accidentally getting better. You're intentionally trying to do things properly. Yeah. You know, and this is I was telling them about, they were coming in at the start of the workout talking about how much they don't like school. And I had to give them the school talk, which I love to give, is school's not important because you're going to get a job from school later. Like, school can be very useful because it can teach you how to think and how to solve a problem. Yeah. So, and this is something I never did. I remember never doing this when I was a kid at practice or in my games. And I was a kid I did well in school, and I thought I was a problem solver, and I am a problem solver. But no one ever told me, hey, like, actually think about what's happening in practice when you're going through these drills. Like, how are you catching the pass? Like, where's the, like, something you told me when you would practice your shot, like, oh, that one came off nice. Like, why did that?
Just ask the question.
Yeah, why did that come off my blade nice?
Why?
I never, ever asked myself that, ever, until I was older. Like, it was too late. Like, I was 20 plus. Right. And so if you can start to do that stuff now, this is how you guys actually get better skills, and you get an edge when you're young, which is very important because you're judged so young. Yeah. You know, so you'll be good at these things, and it won't be an accident. You're intentionally trying to use your brain to figure some of this stuff out. You know, so when it's passing stuff, shooting stuff, whatever, ask yourself some questions. Don't just like mindlessly go through practice, like I'm at practice today, whatever. You know, actually try to have some critical thinking at the very least when you're doing your rep of the drill. You know.
No, I agree. Yeah. And the thing is that you want to have success. Like, the way I always say to people too is, like, when, this is a side note, is that when people come to the rink or the workouts and they're not working as hard as they can, or they're not giving it the attention that they want, or they half-ass it, whatever, is, to me, it's like, it's not a good sign for life, because this is something that you say that you love to do. And if you love to do something and you can't put your heart and soul into it and do it and be analytic and like you say, question, be a critical thinker about it, and really have a desire to get better, and the thing that you love, well, when you go and work at a job that you don't love, how the hell are you going to do it then? You're not. Yep. You're just going to complain and bitch and moan and criticize, right? Yep. So you need to be a problem solver, but especially in hockey, you have to have it. You guys, why does something work and why does it not? Yeah. You know, if you're on a 1-on-1 or a 2-on-1 with something, and you got a really good defenseman, you can never make the pass, and it seems like you can never make the shot. Well, do you just keep doing it, or do you sit back and say, like, why? Can I see video? Maybe I need to open up. Maybe I have to add some deception. Maybe something. There's something. Maybe I just need to crack the puck and get a different result. Yeah. But you have to ask questions and try things. And when you're young, it's a real good chance to do it.
Yeah, and I was thinking, like I've said this to you a couple times, I don't know if it's too much to expect from kids that are young, because I don't know if it's a maturity thing or what necessarily. I don't have enough knowledge to understand.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to forget, like I always say, I'm starting to forget what it was like to be a kid and not know. But I remember seeing it in the gym with like Seabass and Charlie in particular and their group. Like after we would do those sprint starts and they would come to me out. You saw it. They would come to me right after, be like, was that better? Like I couldn't tell. Like I felt like I was off balance there. Hey, can you watch me on this and make sure I'm set properly? Or like, asking questions, man, asking questions. And those are obviously two of our best examples of guys that had great success because they had that. That is a huge reason why they had that because and like you said, even talking with Charlie as dad, you'd say, hey, you got practice this week. What are you working on? What are you focusing on the ice? Shooting with my feet moving, whatever it was, you know? It's like those are huge things that can help you skip the process of accidentally getting better because that takes way longer to accidentally get better. If you intentionally do it, it just goes faster for you.
It goes faster.
You know?
Well, it's the myelin. The myelin piles up.
Yeah.
One of the things I just wanted to say before I kind of work on your backhand, huge skill. One of the things that you'll see in practice is you'll see a 10-foot pass and kids have to, even juniors, they have to go to their forehand. It's just they're not comfortable on their backhand. Backhand's a huge tool. Don't need to say much about it, but best players in the world have great backhands.
Yep.
And I sound like I'm from 1926, but it's the truth.
No, it is the truth.
Yeah, it's the truth. You got to be good on both hands. It's an extra bullet in your gun. But the other thing I wanted to say is in the old school, and a lot of people still teach it, when people do passing drills, and coaches don't do this, it sucks. It doesn't work. It's stupid, actually. Is instead of being face-to-face like you and I are, they line up right on their forehand to forehand.
Oh, yeah,
right?
sideways.
So sideways.
Yeah.
In a game, if you just think about that and you're watching a game, how often does that happen? It hardly ever does. Same with shooting. You're hardly ever in that position. Yet that's how it's in the books and in the manuals, they tell you, right? And so using the clock again, your feet should always be facing the net. So if I'm a lefty and my feet are facing the 9, then I'm drawing the puck back. You don't do that in a game.
Yep.
Like very, very, very seldom.
Very rare.
So don't practice that way. Always go face to face. So you keep the puck. Yeah.
We do that. It's funny you say that because we do that same thing with shooting too. When we teach our shooting lessons, we always set the kids' feet. Here's another tip: if you're practicing shooting at home, feet towards the net.
Yeah,
when you're practicing your shooting, right? Because it never happens in a game. Same passing or shooting.
No.
You're never making a pass sideways. No. Very rare.
Yeah.
And you're almost never just going to be camped out with your feet facing the boards for a 1T in the slot type shot. That never happens.
Or not a 1T, it'd be a catch
whatever
and
it
scoop.
is, right?
And if you do, you're not getting the most powerful shot you can get anyways.
Yeah. The only time that I can actually think of in a game where that happens, unless you're actually two, you're either peeling out of the corner where you got some guys come peel out of the corner and shoot it, whatever, or if you're on the flank on a power play. Taking out. Those are the only two times.
But you're still not sideways. You're still on somewhat
right?
of an angle.
But for the most part, you're going to be off the rush or whatever, skating at the net when you're taking your shot, right?
Yeah.
So
the next thing that like the manuals and the old Hockey Canada shit teach is to cradle the puck on passes. So when you cradle the puck, it takes you back into that bad position where you're off balance. It doesn't make any sense. You could have a soft cradle. That's fine. And you're just deadening the puck a bit. What I say is do a hard catch. Make sure it's right there. Now, the only time that I like to use or teach a soft catch is if I'm coming down and I do it on purpose. So if I see a defender in this lane, I can do that soft catch, but it's also a weight transfer with my feet.
Yeah.
So being a lefty, I'll push off my right to my left, and at the same time, so I'm just creating space on the so I can go around or make a different move. And that's pretty much the only time that I would want to use a soft catch.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. That or you talk about making an adjustment if it's like way out in front of you.
Yeah.
That's the other time, right? Where you take that soft, it's too far, so you let yourself catch it so you can adjust.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
puck,
you're coming
right?
in. So you let yourself go with the puck. But I don't want to catch passes like this because now it eliminates a lot of other movements that I can make.
You run into all those things you laid out before, right? Off balance, outside, telegraphing, all that, whatever.
Yeah, so that's kind of like passing a little bit. I hope that was
I think that was good.
Decent. It's like it's not necessarily as technical as I would want it to be. I need more demos for that. But the thing is like to just reiterate the passing is go back and make sure as coaches and players, short passes, crisp, hands in front of you. Use that clock analogy for where the puck positioning should be, and then really, really work on or before we get into that is understand options like forehand, backhand, and all that kind of stuff. And then the other skill you want to work on, and if you do this, you'll be ahead of the game for most people, is all the ugly stuff. The passes in your skates too far ahead. Some that are in the air. That happens all the time, right? In the air, and you got to knock them down. Rims, all that kind of stuff. Make it so it's ugly, so you build those skills.
Yeah, just touching on the demo thing too. I'll just plug the website here quick. If you want more of that stuff, because it's hard, we can only explain so much. But on the website, Andy has hundreds of videos where you can go in and watch passing stuff, shooting stuff, stick handling stuff, all that stuff. We got a whole bunch, but the passing and shooting in particular, if you need more of a visual, and even on our YouTube channel, actually, there's some free stuff there you can see. But for the more super detailed stuff, it's on the website there too for demo stuff. Anyways,
so. It's real important. So if you do go to our website and look, you got to pay attention though. It's not going to be really, really exciting, and you're gonna eat popcorn and can't put it down. I like this video. It's educational.
Yeah,
but they're good. They're really good. So and then I just wanted to just go over. It's basically the same thing when it comes to shooting. Is purposely do drills that are awkward. Because let's just go back in a game. How many times you get a pass that's a perfect pass where you can shoot the puck and you have time and all that kind of stuff. Learn how to, most people will learn a wrist shot. I think that's what they call it now. I don't actually call it that.
Yeah,
but
right? It's not what it is.
Yeah, it's not what it is. It's but anyways, or slap shots, stationary, and all this kind of stuff. One times, everyone loves to do one times, and you should. So again, go back in your shooting and work on your shot. Now, here's the question. What shot? What shot are you working on? Because shooting a puck has a lot of different meaning to it, to me. So if someone says I need to work on my shot, I go, well, you got to have explained to me. There's pull-in shots. There's toe drag, like a toe drag pull-in shot. There's shooting with your feet moving. There's stationary shooting. There's two-touch shooting. There's one-touch shooting. There's backhands, there's snappers, there's clappers, there's half clappers, there's all these different kinds of shots. So you have to actually work them all. Now, to get a basic fundamental, yes, work that, the catch and scoop or the old school wrist shot where you're really focusing your legs and getting that power coming from the front like we talked about in the passing. Work on that in stride shot, so coming off like a quick pass, coming off that inside leg, yes, work it. Work a snapper, work a clapper. But what you want to do is you want to get shots in practice where you're purposely getting yourself out of position. So, for example, last night, I'll just tell you what I did last night in the. And this is what practices should look like. So last night I wanted to work because there's a really I feel there's a real deficiency in passing. So I always feel like I need to do passing, and then I can always transfer. When I do a lot of passing, I always transfer it into shooting because it's the same principle. So last night we were doing a lot of coming off your inside foot passing, like in pivots and all this kind of stuff. So they're used to it. It's in the sweet spot. So then I took that. I said, once we got done that, we went into stationary passing. Okay, so what I would do is I would have coming from both sides, and I'd call them two touches. So what the two touch does is that if you're moving, the puck's more in front of you, but you want to keep it in the middle. So you hard catch it, and you just step into it. So a lefty catch, jump into your left leg, and that's your
catch
hard
release
pass.
1-2.
Yeah. So bang, 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 and kind of correcting everybody. Then I did it off the backhand where it's in front of them, hard catch, same thing. Just getting used to both of them.
So sorry, just for the two touch and the hard catch, just because I know it's hard to visualize if you haven't done it before. When you're doing a hard catch, the puck is going to hit your blade, and then there's going to be separation with the puck. There doesn't have to be, but a lot of times you're just deadening the momentum of the puck. Yeah. Whereas on that soft catch, you're going to cradle it. It's going to stay in contact with your blade the whole time. So the reason he calls it a two touch is that it's going to hit your blade and deaden.
Yes.
And then normally there's going to be a little bit of separation. So there's going to be it's going to hit the blade, deaden, and now it's just laying right in front of you. And then your second touch is the movement forward. So I just want to clarify.
So the elements of that is when you stop it, it's right in the middle of your body, and then you just jump into it real quick.
Yeah.
So then you work on building the speed of that. So hard passes is like bang, 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 right? So now in a game, you get used to that quickness, right? But you've done hundreds and hundreds of these shots, and that's more of a pass that you're going to get in the game than the perfect one, right? It's a little bit more ahead of you. You can also work on behind. So we did that, and then I took it in. Now it's very hard. It'll be frustrating for people that practice this because unless you're a really, really good shooter, you're not going to get your hardest shots. Mine come off really hard. Like good shooters come off hard, but the guys that don't, they don't have any momentum. And what we do when we're breaking habits there is I make them go catch way out in front of them and then jump into it, rather than what they're used to is catch, or they get a puck and then they drag it back,
they pull
and
back,
it comes behind them. So it's like a whole new neuro circuit that they're working.
Yeah.
So then the next step to that, so I can progress that, it's the same thing as passing again. You're moving your feet. Now we're catching it in front of us, and it's with speed, or with skating speed. You're doing the exact same movement. Now their shots come off harder. But the first step is to do the first one, slow, smooth. Not necessarily. It's fun, but it's not. You're not going to get your best shots out of it, and then you progress to that. So that's what I did with the kids last night.
Yeah.
The weird thing is, or not the weird thing, it's just like I said with passing, it's almost you got to convince them that this is going to work. And I always say it all the time, like, guys, like, you have to trust me. Look at the guys that I work with, and they, every single guy said, yeah, but this is what, and just pay attention and just do it, and just try to make sense of this. So from that angle too, like if you get a pass out here, you can do that 2-touch, or so just another shot is you could do a pull-in shot, which is a real effective shot. So you get the puck here and learning how to bring it in back into the sweet spot and bending the stick and shooting.
They get the little swing shot. Yeah.
Right. So out of one pass, there's 2 shots. Right. Third shot out of that could be in front of you, just tapping it and skating into it with a half clapper.
Yeah.
Very, very effective shot. So it's really, and then in your feet, learning how to kick them up. Like, so learning all these different things, different positions, is critical to getting your shot off. Like, if you work perfect practices all the time, like perfect positions, then it's not practical for a game.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So learn, like, purposely do drills where it's just awkward.
Yeah. So then similar, sorry, did you have another thought? Because I was going to go the same way as I did with passing. I was going to say, so if I want to be a better shooter now, because we just talked about a bunch of different situations you can practice, but just as like some take homes. So if I want to become a better shooter now, same thing as we did with the passing. So the passing, we talked about the setup, keep your feet moving into your passes, how much speed are you putting on the pass, that kind of stuff, and then adding some deception. Do you have like a similar kind of template you could do for shooting, like something like that if you wanted to be better as a shooter?
I'm going to say no, but I'm not going to say no. To go back to what I said with passing, is what are your fundamental shots, right? You have your wrist shot, if you call it that. You have your snap shot. You have your 2-touch. You have like all those different shots, slap shots. Work those shots the way you've always worked them. Tighten up the technique and understand that when your shot comes from outside your body, with your hands, like I said before, if your puck is at the 9, got to be closer to the 10. You shouldn't be shooting for there, except for sometimes you're going to get an odd angle in a game and you're going to have to get it there just to get it off, and that's fine.
Yeah.
Right. Sometimes I've scored goals where I've got it out here and I just took a crack at it. It's just unexpected and awkward. And usually it's a knuckleball and it goes in, or get a good opportunity, and that's cool. But work your fundamental shots and then add to it. But the principles of shooting is keeping that puck in front of you. So if you cradle a puck or you get a puck out here, the simple thing is just a weight transfer into your body, so your hands are in front of you and your puck is back at that 10 on the clock. And any shot from there is good. The next thing is just put downward pressure on the puck. Don't, like, a lot of people just like to hit, right? If this is the if this is the puck, a lot of people when they snap at it, it's this.
Yeah, it's like horizontal hitting.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not like down and hitting.
Right. So what it should be catch and then
push down. Yeah.
Yes, you either scrape in a little bit of ice or you keep that right on your on the stick of the toe of your stick and you're pushing down. So that gives it that extra snap.
Yeah, and that's with just a side note with the sticks nowadays. When you're younger, you're not that strong, so it's hard to really. Right. But as you're getting older, these sticks are amazing, man. Like, use the technology of the stick to your advantage. You always say that, right? That downward pressure, like you can get so much bend on that stick where you get that slingshot effect coming off. Yeah. And a lot of kids don't know how to use that. They don't know how to use that. So you're paying $300 for a stick, man. Yeah. Like, use it to your advantage. Like, figure out how to use that flex on the stick to help you, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, the number one principle for me, and this is what I would say because everyone's just a little bit different. is you get used to having the hands in the right spot, in that sweet spot. So work it with passing. You'll know what the sweet spot is. It comes off quick, right? Then from there, you're gonna tend to like one type of shooting more than the other, and that's okay. But work them all.
Yep.
Right. So work them all, and then just really put yourself in situations like I have a drill where I call it's just the tip. Just to be funny, but it's called just the tip. So what it is I send a puck out to them, and they're not allowed to piss around with the puck. It's got to be so they're up high in the slots. They get a puck. It's on their blade, and it's got to come off. After that, they have to drive to the net with their stick down. So I might put it in their feet. I might put it in their on their tape, a little bit in front, maybe a little bit behind them. So they have to one time. So they have to react to it. Right. And I don't want anyone to say like it's on purpose, so that in the practice, you never sit there and go, that was a shit pass.
Right. Yeah.
It's not a shit pass. You're a shit player.
Yeah.
No, being honest,
Yeah.
you're a shit player. You
Yeah.
need to catch your passes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's not exactly where you want it. It doesn't make it shit. This is now you have to be better. So now you're getting reactions, and so all of a sudden you're learning. Oh, okay, this works for tips. Oh, it's in my skates. How do I make this work? I can one time from here. You just build habits. So you want to be a good hockey player? Do net drives, like for example, do net drives for 20 minutes, and you get all kinds of different passes at different angles, right?
Yep.
And your improvement will go way up.
So then maybe
If you never practice it in a game, if you get if let's say you're driving to the net and the puck is in an awkward angle, if you've never had that angle, you can't expect any success.
Yeah,
right.
sure.
You gotta have to get pucks and passes from every bad angle possible.
So then maybe one layer deeper on that. So like if you had to just throw a couple names out right now of like who you think the best shooters are, like NHL guys, NHL wise, like who'd you throw out?
McKinnon.
McKinnon,
Crosby. Or what's his name?
Ovechkin,
Well, yeah.
Matthews.
Matthews is an unbelievable shooter.
Yeah.
And if you watch him, he's okay. There's a really good guy to watch. And McDavid, obviously. Matthews is a really good guy to watch. Actually, I don't really care for the guy. I don't like to give him a compliment, to be honest with you. But when it comes to shooting a puck, he can shoot a puck.
Yeah.
And it's not because he's got a hard shot. Like everyone in the NHL has a hard shot. His is extremely hard. But what you want to pay attention to is the deception he uses, which should come on shots, and just the way he changes angles. He will shoot off his inside foot. He'll scoop it in and do like a hip turn on a wrist shot, snap him. He's got all kinds of different shots. If you took he's good at tips. He's good in tight. If you were to watch like all of his goals, you're going to see like a lot of different types of goals.
Right.
Right. McKinnon, if you want to see that quick release, he's probably my favorite.
Okay, so
I'm not sure if I would say he's my favorite if you want to look at that quick release and just look how he's always hiding the puck in his feet, and where the puck is, it's always here. Bang. Can get it off that quick.
Okay, great. So there's a couple guys to watch now for guys that have really great shots, because there's a lot of guys that have a really good shot, but they can never get it off. They are never in a good position where they can actually use the tool kind of thing.
Yeah.
So do you have any thoughts on maybe that, like how you want to become a better shooter, how like getting yourself in a position to actually use it, or finding that dead ice, or like whatever, like, because I remember in my 1 year of junior, it was just clicking for me that year for some reason. I could just find the like soft ice.
Yeah.
And I was getting shots off left and right that I had never gotten before.
Yeah.
It just started to click for me. And I was never like a big shooter. I was more of like a playmaker. So I had some shooting and some playmaking. But this 1 year in particular, it was like I was a shooter now.
Yeah.
It's like I could get pucks anywhere in the half circle in the O zone, and I could just find it to get it off.
Yeah.
Because I was just getting in a good position. So do you have any thoughts, like maybe away from the puck? Once you get the puck, here's your tips, whatever, obviously. Yeah. But then getting yourself in a game position.
I'll give one.
Yeah.
Can you pass me your thing? So this is actually very important. This is where, I mean, in a when I do drills and stuff like this, I harp on kids. So I guess we could say this is the net, eh?
Yeah.
This is the net. This is the offensive zone. The biggest thing that people do is they hang out here. If the puck's over here in the corners and stuff, they hang out here.
So this would be like the slot?
The slot, sort of, yeah. So the thing that you have to ask yourself is, that you might be open in minor hockey a little bit here and there. but that's not good ice. It's good ice if it comes up and you drive to the net,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not good ice when you're waiting for passes. Why?
Traffic jam, man.
This is where everyone
Yeah.
defends for the most part. If you're ever in trouble, you go back here and then you sort yourself out. So what you really want to
Here.
look at this mess, huh?
Yeah.
So what you want to do is just learn strong side. Okay, so if the puck's here's a net. If the puck's in this corner, I don't know if you can see it.
No,
guys.
you can.
Hopefully, or else it's all for naught. What you want to do is so if this is the circle, you want to get high, strong side in this area, so that this is an easy pass for
Off
you.
the post, a little bit higher.
Because these guys got to pull out if they want
Yep.
to get you. So that you're kind of safe there, but you're not. Like as a defender, and as it goes across, like you want to go this way.
So you're looking
stay in
for
this area.
Yeah, you're looking for pockets, like basically
Yeah.
dot to the top of the circle
Yeah.
on both sides,
Yeah.
just off the post
Yeah.
kind of area.
Yeah.
Because this is where you're going to find those
Yeah.
little open gaps where you get guys defending will get lost.
Yeah.
Like they don't know whose guy that is necessarily.
Yeah.
You're kind of too far for the D and too far for the forward.
Yeah.
And then you're in a shitty spot for them.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure out who
Yeah.
you should be watching
Yeah,
in
you
that
just
area.
separated yourself a little
Yeah.
bit, right?
So find little pockets like that where you can,
Yeah.
because then you'll get,
Yeah.
and then next to that is being able to get the pass, but then to get the shot off, right? That's the other skill, right? So we got how to shoot, first of all, which you covered, trying to find ice where you'll be able to get a shot off,
Yeah.
and then being able to get the shot off quick, like we pointed out with Charlie's goal, right?
Yeah.
It was like a gift for him, right? Lots of space,
Yeah.
but it's never a lot of time. So if he hangs onto that puck
Yeah,
for
it's gone.
an extra split second,
Yeah.
that goalie has enough time to square up now because the
That's
goalie
right.
didn't have a good eye on the puck.
Yeah,
yet,
that's right.
So once you get in that position, if a puck comes to you, being able to get it off and not dust it and all that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's another point I want to throw on that.
And that's that. Like, but work like your quickness for sure.
Yeah.
On your shooting.
Cool. Do you have anything else you want to go off of to wrap up here or what?
I think I'm good.
Think you're good to go?
Add your deception. Okay, it's just the last thing on the shooting. Well, including the passing. Add your deception. Don't have to do it every single time. Like when you're trying to get rid of it quick, that's fine. You don't have time to really make deception except for maybe a quick fake, but you really don't have time if you're trying to get it off real quick. But any other time when you're going to shoot, add like a deception with your eyes or a fake or something. Just get used to that habit because it actually works.
Yep.
It works.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I think that was great. So it was get a little technical. So if people have questions about some of the stuff we're talking about, especially if you're just listening and you couldn't see our great demos, then,
Yeah, I apologize if there's a little more technical.
yeah, it's all good. But yeah, if you have any questions about that, send us a message and then maybe we'll do something else like this again later on.